1 minute.
Okay, channel 17, please start recording.
Okay. Welcome to TMAC, November 20th, 2025. We got a couple of items on the agenda. My name is Beth Province. I'm TMAC Chair. We'll go with
David Day with PROVO City Public Works.
Nick Nicholson with Provo City Public Works.
Danielle Nixon with PROVO City Public Works.
Judy Johnson, Provo City Public Works.
Joseph Gandy, PROVO City Public Works.
Odin Golding, Provo City Development Services, Parking. Stephen Brock, Provo Police Department.
Will Gordon, PROVO.
As long as Provo is there, we're good.
George Hanley, Provo City Council.
Lisa Jensen, Planning Commission, and
Teresa McKay on the City Council.
David Hurtado, did I miss something? Do I have to say Provo TMAC? Okay.
I think we're the only one, but yeah.
All right.
Kendall Thurston, TMAC.
David Keller, TMAC.
And the Solvable Development Service and Planning.
Provo Public Works and Engineering, Vern Kiesler.
Hey, Han Schuer, Provo City Engineering.
Thank you so much.
And I'm Greg McFarland. I'm joining remotely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for reminding me you're there.
Hi, everybody.
Let's get right into it. First action item is approval of minutes from October 23rd, 2025. Anyone like to approve those?
I move that we approve them.
Thank you. Anybody second? I'll second that. For that, we'll go straight into action item 2. Vern actually has a proposal for what we can vote on.
So we've been discussing as a TMAC for most of this calendar year, micromobility challenges, trying to get ahead of a little bit on micromobility and some of the concerns and some of the things that each of you are individually witnessing throughout the city. And we have been having some very healthy discussion in regards to state laws, and we've had people speak to us from Parks and Rec and from Police Department and others that have expertise in this area. And I think we've discussed it pretty lengthy and very healthily. You know, I think you guys have had this conversation quite frequently. It's good now to maybe see if we can't agree upon a motion where you can send something to the city council. Now, this is Provo City Code 9.32.170. So it would not necessarily need to go before the Planning Commission. So what you would do is make a recommendation to the city council, and the city council can decide to do what they want with it. They could get their management analysts to take a look at the code and consider the 3 things that we have been discussing. We have been discussing the safety and age requirements. I don't think we've got continuity in that, so I kind of kept it pretty general. Riding location and speed, I think, again, there's some disagreement there of whether we should restrict to what type, sidewalk or bike lanes or shoulders or whatever the case may be. And then traffic adherence and equipment. And I think even there we got, you know, state laws that we have to deal with traffic adherence, and then the equipment with the different types. And the technology is changing so fast, right? So if you look at this motion and you're looking at those 3 things, can you as a TMAC agree that those are the 3 things that you guys have been centered around discussing, and then let's punt it to the city council, right? Let's see if they want to explore this further, or if their group management analysts want to take a look at it. So, Counselor Treese.
I'd say from past experience that we would give this to our policy analysts, and they would look statewide, see what other cities do, like we would get a full analysis on it, which would be really helpful, I think. And so we'd get a full analysis and then be able to look at it, every piece of it. I know this is something that we get emails about and that people are concerned about, so I think this would be great.
You need to add communication or education to that as far as things for them to consider.
I think if you wanted to add a number 4, Lisa, that's very important.
Well,
And
we've also dickered about whether that's effective, so I didn't know if that was something that the committee agreed was, we want them to consider or not.
That's something we've looked at in the past as far as doing a like public service announcement through the city or that, so I think that'd be relevant. We pick different things at different times to focus on, and then we kind of push out a lot of stuff about that one thing, and this would be a obvious.
Well, if you update the code, then you could do a big push.
Yeah, that ends up being
Yep.
more administrative than legislative, but I think if the legislation is strong and there's a robust conversation, then that would send a strong message to administration and departments, relevant departments. I would recommend putting it on there.
Yeah, because also changing a law, you want to educate, you have to make those.
What does the staff report look like and who writes it? So I'm just wondering how much of the discussion that we've had gets passed along so that they don't have to start from scratch and they can see some of the opinions on both sides of the
We can
argument.
totally remind them to listen to TMAC, so listen to the TMAC that talks about.
Well, I'm just thinking that if like Vern is in charge of writing the staff report, it would be nice to just say, here's a list of pros and cons of each item that TMAC has discussed, so somebody doesn't have to listen to a year's worth of meetings to figure out what they.
Yeah, and Vern could totally give that to our staff. We'll have one of our policy analysts do it.
So is that realistic for you to just like capture the vibe and say, these are the things that?
absolutely, we, Judy and others have taken great meeting notes, minutes of this meeting. I review those every single month before they're sent out to you. And so I think that we could include those notes as part of the motion and the staff report to be able to provide staff in the council office with the starting point rather than go back and watch things.
And I would even say not just cut and paste the notes, but like really condense them down to the.
All the
the highlight
relevant
points.
documents that have been presented to.
Yeah, we can
Because
include the
as
documents
someone
too.
who gets handed a staff report,
Packet, yeah.
the smaller and more concise it is, the more useful it is. Like just having a bunch of addendums, they might not actually sit through it all.
We certainly do that. How's the TMAC feel about adding maybe education to a 4th item there? And then, this was a starting point, okay? This is a motion after going back and looking at a lot of things of our discussion this past calendar year. Does that reflect kind of the topics that has been concerned about?
It definitely does.
Vern, yeah, I would,
Go ahead, Greg.
sorry if I interrupted somebody I couldn't hear very well. Yeah, I would support an addition to the communication, but I think it needs to be, like in this statement, it needs to be structured slightly separately because as George pointed out, it's not the city council's job either to inform. That's an administrative task. So I think the city council should take up these things in code, and also we encourage the city administration to improve or enhance its safety messaging efforts or something like that.
Yeah, I think we can easily add communication and education to that, and realizing that there are separation of powers and responsibilities. So I think we're all understanding that, right, Kendall? Yep. Okay. What else? Anything else from the TMAC on this discussion? I don't want to rush you, but you've had a full calendar year of discussion there.
No, I think this sums it up.
All right, what about enforcement? We've talked a lot about that's necessary if you're gonna add or change.
Well, that's kind of under the police department's purview, so.
Which is also administrative.
Yeah.
Well,
But isn't that a conversation that the city council should say, we value this enough to make this a priority in the police department,
we
or?
can discuss penalties, right?
We can discuss the
Yeah.
penalties, but
Right.
as far as if the administration does decide if they enforce on that or not.
Yeah, and I think we would never want to remove the flexibility of a police officer enforcing the code and their job. I think that they would always want to be able to make that call on the spot. If you got a 25-year-old college kid who is blatantly doing something against the ordinance and riding on a sidewalk and hits a pedestrian, by all means, that might warrant one method of a ticket. And then if you have a 12-year-old who's riding on the sidewalk, or 14 or whatever, has a similar accident, there might be a little bit more leeway there. So I certainly want to make sure that our fine officers have flexibility to enforce the law how they see the situation going on. Anyway, with that, other discussion, because the goal on this is to get something to the city council, so in January, we get to start on some other topics of discussion that you want to discuss, okay? David's over there saying, yes, there's other topics we want to discuss. So I'll turn it back over to Beth with that, and I'm sure she's probably gonna want to look for a motion in a second so we can move forward.
Okay, so I propose that we, how do I say it?
So can you make the motion, or does it need to be somebody who's not the chair?
She, as chair, could make the motion. I think
Typically
it's
not done that way.
typically not that way. Usually a member of the TMAC makes the motion in a second, and then she kind of conducts the meeting.
I move that we accept this as written with a addition to communicate a desire to communicate.
I think Dave's gonna second.
Okay,
Second.
David seconded. So what I'm hearing, Greg, is you added communication and education to that?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And he seconded it, so.
Now you need to ask for
Oh,
a vote.
yeah. Vote yea or nay. Everybody for it? Yes.
Aye.
Anybody against it? Crickets. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, we can move on now. And it's you, Lisa.
It's me. Okay, this is a really fancy, graphic that I have for you. So you may have seen in the news that, UDOT has, or that the governor has said that working with UDOT, they're gonna have a trail system throughout the entire state. So, Vern asked me to sit with this group that's, looking at the area specifically between the train station and, Springville.
Spring Creek Park. Springville, Spring Creek Park.
There's two Spring Creek parks along that corridor. That's okay. Anyways, middle of Springville. And so when we met last week, we talked about, there was somebody who had actually looked at all the different areas that you could cut through. And we determined through conversation that the recommended path that they will move forward with making recommendations for this is all just feasibility. Starts at the front runner station, goes east on 600 South, and then it goes around the south side of the cemetery, which is just outside of the frame right now. So that's where it says move to here. Instead of taking them over to State Street, it'll go there because there's a light at 900 South that will allow them to get onto the multi-use path on the east side of the street. So then they would direct them to take that multi-use path all the way from the dog wash, car wash on State Street, all the way down to Lakeview Parkway by the Juvenile Detention Center on State Street. At which point there would be, where it says problem area, that's what this is about, is that getting from the east side of the street to then the west side of the street, where you would connect with roads that are in that industrial park down below State Street, if you're familiar with Southeast Provo. And then that will take you through the industrial park. The road that they recommended is the furthest east, or furthest west one. Go up a little bit, okay? So kind of where the yellow dotted line is, I think is the road. Yeah, and, that will go all the way down and connect with a new development in, on the border of Provo and Springville that will, that the Clyde Properties is like interested in working with people on, working with the cities on, and making a trail system through theirs because it's a residential and retail property. So they're hoping to get them on board and connect those roads across where you can see that square. There'll be a lighted intersection there.
That's that huge development, right? That's
Yeah.
Partly in Provo, partly.
Yeah, where we get the residential, they get the retail.
Yeah.
But they're gonna cross there and, hopefully go through the backside of the Clyde properties to keep it off of State Street as much as possible, and then back onto State Street, because the alternative routes through Springville were not, there were either property access problems or, just uphill or indirect. So the committee determined that going the rest of the way down State Street in Springville was the best option there. So.
You, was Logan Millsap part of that?
Oh, yes,
Springville?
Is he the city councilor?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councilor Millsap is on
He actually-
our steering committee as well.
He actually rode the whole route with, what's the guy's name from?
Oh, he wrote it with Avenue?
No, he was presenting with Kirby. Who's the gentleman presenting?
Yeah, that was over here with the earring.
Gosselin.
I can't remember his name. I've seen him at conventions before, so anyway.
Well, I just asked because, like it was a year or so ago, I don't know if you were.
Yeah, we walked it, didn't we,
Gordon
George?
and I,
Yep.
and Logan and Aaron Scavlin had walked part of it and biked a bunch of it. And I didn't know where it stood in terms of, it seemed like the Springville.
So Springville city people are on board, Springville,
Awesome.
Government people are on board, and they're all working together with, and it sounds like because UDOT is now supporting it, that there's, Utah Trail Network funding that will help pay for it. And
That
then
was
if you
my
get
question.
someone like Clyde Companies that's gonna pay for it, it's a matter of putting it on a timeline, and it will take a while, but, anyway, that's what we talked about. Does that cover it?
Yeah, I
Pretty
think
well.
so.
So is there significant funding from the state then?
He didn't talk numbers.
Yeah, they didn't talk numbers, but as we've been visiting with them, they see this as a great opportunity to fund a project that's not quite shovel-ready, but will be after the feasibility study and some other things that need to occur, such as design and things to that effect.
And most of this doesn't even need much infrastructure, more like signage and maybe some paint stripes, but
So it's not some new dedicated trail, it's just a path, like it's a way more of a wayfinding thing?
So that's another thing is has to be paved path. It has to be about 12 feet wide.
It's not on the road, it's a paved path separate,
Right.
so that's a lot of interest.
but it can be on the road as long as it's protected, right?
Yeah, it can be on the road as long as we do some steps to protect it. And there's a lot of ways to, anything from delineators to, concrete barriers to, planter strips and everything else to protect it. So there's a lot of options. We're kind of just, we're probably a third of the way through the study. And Avenue Consultants is working with Mountain Land Association of Governments and Springville and Provo. I think, Counselor from Springville and George, we all walked it and rode it a couple years ago. It's been a couple years now. So we went out and got a grant for the study. Provo did. We led the study, based upon George's admonition, and we went out there and got $150,000 from MAG to do the study. And so that's where we're at. And it just happens to coincide with, it made the draft plan of the state rail net, or state freight, or state trail network, not rail. So that's good news.
Does that mean we can get first in line for the?
I hope so.
Well, I read the news story that came out last week about the trail network, and it said that there was already funding in place, and it sounded like projects had already been granted some of the funding, but I didn't get the impression that that there'll be more funding immediately, and every year there'll be more funding, but I don't think this project already has funding.
No, there were some other projects that were shovel-ready already.
Yeah.
So.
Seems like something that connects to sizable cities is a very high priority.
And it connects transit.
Yeah, it connects transit too. That's what they're hoping is that,
A lot of commuters
people can go from the train station to Clyde companies all the way on their bikes.
Yeah, and for those that aren't familiar with Clyde companies, they probably own somewhere around 25 to 30 companies, and Clyde is going to build their new world headquarters right there. They're originally from Utah County anyway, but some of they're repurposing the industrial building down there that they've owned for years and years. In Springville.
Kitty corner from the Chevron McDonald's.
And so there's been talk about some of the retail being shared with Provo City, since it's all one big development of residential and retail. But residential, retail, and professional office with world headquarters.
And like ice skating rink, like there's a whole bunch of things on their pictures of how they envision it.
The one big issue has been a little disappointing was the fish hatchery folks. You know, Spring Creek runs back behind there, and they have a lot of security issues. And then the way that property was acquired by the federal government or state government, whoever does it, there's some restrictions there. Not that it's no with an exclamation point, but it's, well, probably not, is what we're getting. So that's why they want to go back out to State Street, and that's why Lisa's saying as soon as it gets past Clyde properties, it goes back to the State Street.
Because they can't cut through. Yeah. And one other thing, just so you know, we did consider the railroad access, doing like a rail trail alongside the railroad, but there's just the right-of-way and the permissions and the fact that there's no infrastructure in existence. They just said it's a bad idea to try and put it there with the setbacks that are required and the properties.
So that committee, our third committee meeting is in February, if I remember correctly. And then this will tie up late next spring, early next summer. And the feasibility study, then we'll need to move forward and get it adopted on both city plans and MAG's plan.
We do have a road that will be completed next year, clear from 1320 south, almost, well, to 1640.
Underneath Lakeview Parkway?
But there's a road there now. We could probably.
Well, that's one of the things we talked about, is how to connect that so that we didn't have to go on that weird, get on the wrong side of the street.
That problem area that you circled out on State Street.
It would just send them up kind of alongside Lakeview Parkway and then down underneath. So that was what we were discussing as the ideal.
Kept them down on that road that we've built, and then build more of the road south. We could keep them, and then Tracy Hall Parkway all the way down. That would eliminate a lot of the safety.
Yep.
We may be able to bring them over on, like Dave said, on 1321 Spring Creek. Is it called Spring Creek Drive, or?
Yeah.
We tried to call it something else, but anyway.
You mean instead of going back out to the multi-use trail on State Street at all?
Well, or we'll have a little segment on there, but.
Probably
right
do
back
both,
early.
but if they didn't want to get out with the traffic, they could stay down on a calmer road.
We told them the reason they didn't recommend going that way is just because the roads between the cemetery and Spring Creek Park, there's not really a logical
Yeah, you'd have to come down 9th East and then
go back over.
Through where the road is west of the park, and then back over.
Yeah. Well,
So ideally, to stay off the road, are you looking at buying land then?
What we're thinking is stay in our right of way, and we just want to have, a sidewalk on the inside or the west side of that road. It would be a 12-foot trail on the west side of that. And so we could do some engineering modifications where we maybe remove the shoulder and narrow up the road and have the full 12-foot path.
this is the Tracy Hall Parkway section.
That and along Spring Creek where it comes underneath Lakeview Parkway and
Right.
connects to 2000 South.
Yeah, those are currently 36-foot wide asphalt, so if we did 12, then we just have 2 travel lanes, which is probably good enough for there.
So there's some good possibilities there. And Lisa's representing, Provo's TMAC committee on that, steering committee.
Good. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. I like it.
Well, thank you for the update. Our next item is engineering product update. So Lakeview Parkway. Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody's driven over the Lakeview Parkway bridges the last few weeks. I noticed that we've been doing a lot of work there. We had some lane closures. So what we were doing was we were potholing the bridge decks, making sure that we don't have any issues for the next 2 years while University Avenue Bridge is being redone. So we have completed all the potholes themselves that they found. They do some sounding tests with chains over the whole deck to find where potholes are. But there is still one more thing that needs to be repaired, and that's the glands on the expansion points of the deck. So it will be another 4 days when it gets colder, because they can't do it yet. When it gets colder, it'll be another 4 days of work that they'll be replacing glands, and then they'll be officially done with the project.
Glands.
They're a rubber channel that they put between the expansion joints for, like, when it gets hot, it gets put together. When it gets cold, it expands. Help. And it just makes sure that the water gets out away from the bridge instead of
So many
staying on there. Yeah.
820 North Bridge replacement update.
So I got a couple of time-lapse videos here and a couple pictures, so let's kind of just go through this. Here's the first one looking directly at the bridge. This is over the last 3 or 4 days. And this is this morning. So they've been basically most of the site, you can go to the next one, Kehan. Most of the time here, they've been just clearing the site. So they've removed most of the asphalt in the construction area. So you can see on the bridge this morning, they removed that parapet barrier. So the bridge is in prime position now to be torn out next week is the plan. So we'll have it won't be that big, but we'll have a huge crane on Monday to start lifting out the girders and concrete of the bridge structure itself. You can go to the next slide. Yeah. This was mostly last week work. They're looking towards the south. That's 800 north on the east side of the bridge. They're ripping out the road there. You can go to the next pictures. That was last night, 4 o'clock, so most of the site's been cleared. You can go to the next picture there. That was this morning. And then next picture. Now that's looking to the west there. So looking to start ripping down the bridge next week, and then we'll start working on riprap against the river channel after Thanksgiving. So.
Oh, how high is the river right now?
It's not very high right now. If you go back a picture, Kehan, you can see we've channelized it. So they put in temporary walls there in the river to help. It's not to keep water out. It's help the debris stay in our controlled area there. So the river is a little bit higher through the center right there, just because we are channelizing it. But as of right now, we're in low flows. A little bit higher right now, just because Central Water is cleaning their drinking water facility, so it goes up a little bit. But it's a good elevation for them. So.
Talk a little bit about the June sucker. Everybody wants to hear about
The
that.
June sucker's not in this area until April.
Until April, but that forces us to do the work now, so that we're not in there while the June sucker.
That's the update.
Why do we go so far down past the bridge?
So the trail will be reprofiled, so that's going to drop down quite a bit. We'll have retaining walls, and that's to help. Yeah, so it changes the elevation there, and that's to help ensure that we have ADA compliance through that section going south, west there. So we go quite a ways down that bank to catch grade. And so that will all drop 5, 6, 7 feet, and then we'll have riprap and all that in there.
And then on the roadway sections, we go a certain distance just to be able to blend the road into the new bridge so that it's smooth.
Will that other road continue to be blocked, like no one will ever be turning, right?
Yep, so that will be permanently blocked now. The new bridge structure actually encroaches into the roadway, and so we'll just have kind of a small wall, and then the sidewalk and everything, it'll be a permanent structures there that show that the road's closed, and we'll have signage and all that, but yep, that will continue to be closed.
It'll look intended to be that way now. Like, look
Correct, right. And then on the other side, if you go to the next slide, Keon, you can see there on the right side of the picture, there's still asphalt there, but that's all gonna come out as well, and we'll put a cul-de-sac on that side. So 950 West will no longer have access as well. So that'll dead end on both sides of the bridge, directly next to that structure.
That was a dream.
I'm excited to see the timeline video when it's all completed.
Yeah, I think we'll have a full time-lapse video for the whole thing once done. Right, David? Yeah.
Should have a screen somewhere.
Yeah. Bring popcorn, the whole bit, you know, show it to everybody.
We'll bring popcorn to TMAC that day when we're showing the video. That's awesome.
We'll put it on all our social channels. So.
This has been a dangerous bridge for trail and for cars, so we're fixing both of those issues here.
Thank you. Hey, Vern, you're up.
So we have University Bridge also being done at this time. We meet twice a week with the project team on this, every Tuesday and Thursday. It's a big deal. I think we're seeing traffic calm down just a little bit, but that southbound movement in the evening and the northbound movement in the morning is pretty rough. So if you can use a different route, please do so. We've had a few accidents in the corridor. Sergeant Bruff can speak to those, but we're still always trying to tweak the traffic control to be a little bit more intuitive. If you notice, the lines have been painted. A lot of times when you're doing construction, you just do it with panels or barrels. But in this case, lines have been painted, and you'll see those lines change a little bit when they get move all traffic after the other side of the bridge is demolition and rebuilt. You'll see that. So right now we got a little bit of a learning curve with some of our traffic control and some of the residents and businesses. I think we had an incident the other day where someone accessed a business somehow, some way, while not going through the construction zone. And then when they pulled out, they pulled into a construction zone and didn't know it was a construction zone, so they hit someone. At least that was their excuse. So we got to continue to improve things a little bit as we tweak those, but meeting twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday, I think we're making those modifications. Some of the bus-only lanes have been a little confusing. We've had people get in those thinking they're left turn lanes or through lanes or whatever. Yeah. And it's hard, right? It's tough. So, right. Yeah. So.
Do we get a time-lapse video of this one, please?
There is one set up.
It was like start.
It is kind of hard to know that it is a bus lane.
And I got honked at, I got the whole shebang.
So I think until you go through the intersection and then you see the bus lane, like it says bus only, you're like, oh, that was the bus lane. So
a little bit of a learning curve.
I want to know why they closed off the lanes all the way beyond 920 South. Because it seems like part of the jam is that there's so many lanes, there's so much distance where it seems like you could have 2 lanes instead of just 1.
Yeah, that's been
why did it go that far?
That's been an issue of concern. I'm not sure exactly why they're doing that. We brought it up to them. Do you have an answer on the TLC?
Reasons, I guess, is they were doing some modifications to that signal there.
Yeah.
they were putting new signal heads, and they're planning on putting a new mast arm on the north, would that be the northeast, on the northeast corner? So that could be part of it, why they went past or south of
Do you
920
think that'll
south.
be temporary then?
It is temporary, yeah.
Okay.
So they will be phasing it out, and that's why Vern said that all these dash lines and guidelines and even the travel lanes, they will keep switching, shifting things back and forth.
Okay. I thought that was probably the most frustrating for drivers. Like, once I went through it once, I never went through it again because that was a mistake, but.
Yeah.
But as you,
Vern,
it seems like.
I have a question about this sort of temporary traffic control. So it's good that the lines are painted and everything, and you're not just using barrels. But when you have situations that are changing or have changed, the barrels and the cones and everything also serve to alert people that things aren't what they used to be. And maybe that's an issue where that what has been done looks so well done and permanent, but it's different than what it was and what people have been doing for 30 years, or at least as long as I remember East Bay. And maybe having more signs saying new traffic pattern or whatever would be valuable.
Yeah, I think that's a really good suggestion, and I'll mention that to the UDOT construction team. One of the things that we've seen, we've already got rid of, we had a bus-only left turn off of 300 South coming on to University Avenue. We've already had to take that out of commission just because we had so many people getting into that bus-only lane, turning south, and then it condenses down to one lane. Bus, has kind of a merged lane there, and then they come over, and cars were doing it. And then we've seen drivers get frustrated, drivers get frustrated. They use the bus-only lane to pass everybody else that's waiting in the right lane. So we've seen some issues.
But if you're painting anyways, Vern, it might be a valuable time to start painting the bus lane red, as the MUTCD now allows and recommends.
Yeah, that's already been mentioned, and that's already been striked against us. Yeah, that ain't happening.
Okay, whatever.
It's UDOT. I mean, I already mentioned that to them. I said, but the reason why they don't do it on a temporary basis, and who knows, maybe it might be when they finish the project, they don't want to have to take all that paint up and blast it off. So
That's understandable.
Yeah. Okay, that is it for University Avenue. Dave, did you have something too?
I just wanted to add that it's just starting. The next thing that will happen is you'll see utility relocation starting. And the first phase of that will be on the very east side. So you'll have bridge tore down on the west side and utility relocations on the east side. So you'll be in this kind of a gauntlet of, hey, watch out, there's people on both sides of me. So
that east frontage road is gonna be a mess all winter long, so I'm just being up front with you right now that they got 7 different trenches to do there, and I'm not gonna make them put back permanent asphalt each time after the trench, so it's gonna be a little rough. So if you don't have to take that east frontage road, don't take it.
And by East Grand Road, you mean the road down below?
Yeah, from Taco Bell up underneath, yeah, just don't take that if you don't have to. And then I wanted to also let you know, we did that survey. Provo City made an application to the League of American Bicyclists to increase our status, and we're waiting to hear back on that. Little did I know that the application constituted a survey that the League of American Bicyclists sent out. We got behind that as a city, and we promoted that, and our goal was to get 1,000. We had over 1,300 responses on that. So Joseph and his team and Nicole, they did a fabulous job. We've got a lot of things out there. The council promoted it. The mayor's office promoted it. Our newsletter with our employees promoted it. It was just an awesome thing to get 1,300 responses. So we get those in January. I get to see the responses of those. the things that we've done good, the things that we need to work on still and improve on. We should be able to get gender breakdown and age breakdown, and really excited to see the results of that. And we're also really excited to see if our status has increased from silver to gold. So as Mayor Kapusi said, we're going for the gold, and we're waiting to hear back on that status return. So, Dave, did you have anything else? Okay, I think that's all I had as an update.
December meeting.
Okay, so December meeting, we'll cancel and meet in January.
Just to give a heads up for the January meeting, TMAC members, keep in mind anything that you might want to put on the agenda for next year. Take notes as you're going around, and in January we'll discuss agenda items for the year.
And then when we finish today, I wanted to extend our appreciation. I know it takes time and effort to come to our meetings once a month, and you have to take time out of your business, you have to take time off of work, and you come down here and you serve, and you know, I really appreciate it, and the city appreciates it. Please grab a small token of our appreciation when you do leave. Everybody here, make sure you grab one. We really appreciate your good work and discussion, and I personally enjoy working with the TMAC. There's been a lot of discussions in the past if it's a needed committee. I say yes, it's very much needed, and we very much need to continue to have these conversations. So, happy holidays.
This is George's last meeting.
Yeah.
Oh. Cheers.
That's right, George's last meeting. But you're welcome anytime.
Well, thanks for all of your, I just echo what Vern just said. Yeah, it is very, very important, and we're grateful for your service. Great. Leading the way so well.
Well, thank you, George. You served 8 years on the city council. You made a difference. You came in. This trail is a big difference. You and Councilor Millsap from Springville, the two, you really spearheaded this and directed staff and said, "Hey, apply for some," and we got the grant. So that's good work there. Oh, we're early for a change. All right.
See you next month, guys.